And as usual, I will start by sharing my screen with you. And we're going to look at examples of maintaining and creating entries. And it's such an important topic in play in bridge. So often we find that, we got winners in dummy and we can't get there. And it's because we haven't thought perhaps sufficiently about our entries. If you're watching this video on YouTube and you wish to join these lessons, they're normally on Thursday evenings, just send me an email to that address on the screen and I will add you into the group. So let's have a look at a few examples involving entries. And let's start with this one where you open 2 no trump. That's playing Ackle, that's a balance 20 to 22 points. I think in standard American, it's normally 20 to 21 points, but here it's 20 to 22 points. And your partner passes, and the opponents lead the Jack of Hearts. And what you need to do, of course, in a no trump contract is start by counting your winners and then look at opportunities for more. So I can see I've got 2 spades, 2 hearts, and quite a few clubs, at least 3 clubs. I'd like to make more clubs, of course. But immediately we have a first question to think about, which is what are we going to play at trick 1? Are we going to win this in dummy with the king or win it in our hand with the ace? Or are you perhaps going to duck from both hands? So let's have I'll launch that poll, and that's the question. The first question is, what are you going to play at trick 1? Have a look at the results. And the most popular response was to win with the ace of hearts, 73%, but the others either played low or won with the king of hearts in dummy. And of course, we need to think about tricks and entries here. And what we want to do on this hand is hopefully make all those clubs. We have 8 clubs between us and dummy. And if the clubs divide evenly, 3-2, we should be able to make 5 tricks there. But of course, we'll need an entry for the north hand. And that means keeping the king of hearts as an entry. By the way, it doesn't work out well to duck because if you let them win the first trick and then they play another heart, you'll be forced to win it with the ace, and you won't have any entries to the north hand because you've only got 2 hearts. So if you play the 7 now, then win the second trick with the ace, you won't be able to play a heart to get to your king. So it's a mistake to duck, and it's a mistake to win with the king. You, of course, win with the ace, and then let's turn our attention to clubs. We cash the ace, king, queen, and once everyone's followed to 2 rounds, you know the clubs are now going to run. All we now need to do is cross over to the king of hearts, and we've got 2 good clubs to cash. So that's 7 tricks. So we're going to make at least 9 tricks here, and I think I'll probably just take my top 2 spades there, and I can play some other suit, but the opponents will get in at some point, and they'll probably cash the rest of the tricks there. But we'll make 9 tricks there because we were able to make 5 clubs as well as the 2 hearts and the 2 spades. Do let me know if you have any questions about that. But let's move on to the next hand. And this one is also a no trump one. Here, North opened 1 heart, and you've only got 7 points, so you're not really strong enough to bid 2 diamonds. You bid 1 no trump, showing 6 to 9 points, and that's passed out. And this time the opponents lead the 6 of spades, and What you have to do here is, again, think about where you're going to make your tricks. I'll start with my top tricks. I've got two spades, no heart top tricks, no diamond top tricks, and one club top trick. So I've got three top tricks, and you need to think about what's the best suit for you to go after to establish more tricks. And then that hopefully will lead you to think about where are you going to win this first spade, or are you going to duck? And in fact, that's the subject of the second poll. What are you going to play at trick one? Have a look at the results. And we've got a fairly even response. 52% went for the ace in dummy, 41 one with the king, and two people said play low from both hands. And let's switch back and see what we think. Well, you need to identify your best source of tricks here. And I think diamonds is a better source. We've got the king, queen, jack, nine, and pretty good chance of just losing one trick to the ace and being able to make four tricks there. So I'm going to say that we should go after diamonds when we gain the lead. And when we do go after diamonds, we may well need an entry to the south hand in the shape of the king of spades. Just take a look at the south hand. It's very weak, apart from the diamonds and the king of spades. You've got no other entries. So it's a good tip, even if you're not planning, all the tricks in advance. If you have a situation like this where one hand, north here, is quite a bit stronger than the south hand, it's good to keep entries to both hands just in case you need them. But here I definitely want to keep an entry to the south hand in the shape of the king of spades. And once again, it's a bad idea to duck, to play low from both hands, because if the opponents win the first spade, they can play another spade, knocking out your king of spades before you've had time to establish the diamonds. So yes, I agree. You should play the ace of spades here and then play the diamonds. Good idea to win in the short hand with the queen and play another diamond, which we win with the jack. And now if you're counting the diamonds, there's just one left and it's the ace. So you can play whichever diamond you want here. It will force out the ace. And if they get switched back to spades, of course, you've got an entry and you can cash your last two diamonds. And that's six tricks now. What are you going to play next? Well, the hearts look like another possible source of tricks. So you might lead a heart. Now, if they play low, you've got a decision to make, whether to play the king or the jack or 10. Let's suppose you decide to play the jack and it loses to the ace. That's good news because it means that the king is now going to make a trick. And if the opponents play a club, you can win that, of course, and cash your king of hearts. And that's 8 tricks you've made. What next? Well, you've got a reasonable club holding. Let's suppose you lead that and the opponents win their queen. And if they play a club back, the 7, if you guess correctly and play the 8, that will win the trick and you'll actually make 10 tricks with that last club. So this is the hand, and you were lucky the opponents couldn't get back in to cash their spades, and you were lucky that you did quite well with the club suit as well. But the main thing is keeping the entry here, and here you need the entry to the south hand. So that led to 10 tricks on that occasion. Let's try this one, and this is the one that we were talking about earlier that Roz said was very hard, and Morris said was very easy. So you open 1 no trump, and your partner goes to 3 no trump. This is playing a weak no trump, 12 to 14. And the opponents lead the queen of spades. And we're going to stop to count our top tricks here. Well, we've got 2 spades, 1 heart, 1 diamond. And in clubs, well, it seems like we've got three top tricks in clubs at least. And in fact, we'd like to make a lot of the clubs. In fact, if you work it out, you've got 6 clubs in dummy, 2 in your hand. So you have 8. If the clubs divide 3-2, you could make all the clubs because they would all fall. So that's maybe your thought in the back of your mind. So you win that first trick, of course, you have to win that. And let's suppose you start on clubs, and we're hoping for a 3-2 break. So we win the first trick with the queen, we play the king, and we get the bad news as West discards. So the clubs are divided 4-1. East started with 4 clubs, and he's still got the jack. So the club suit will not run. But what you need to do is at this point realize that you're always going to lose a club trick. And so that you can continue to play clubs, you overtake with the ace. And now you can continue to plug away at clubs while you still have the ace of spades as an entry. East wins the jack of clubs. Whatever they play, you might let that king go, but whatever they play, at some point you'll get in with one of your aces. You can cross to the ace of spades, and now your clubs are good. You'll cash your 3 clubs. Okay, and I think you're just going to make one more trick there with the ace. When you play the diamonds, they'll get in. Sorry, depending, and in this case, on this layout, you actually made an extra trick there with your 9 of diamonds. That might not have happened. It all depends who gains the lead at the end. So, yeah, that was one where maybe you're planning to hope for a 3-2 club break, but once you discover West discards, you overtake, and then you can take the rest of the clubs when you get back in. Let me know if you have any questions about that or anything so far. And let's try another one. Here you open 2 no trump. Now, this is right in terms of points, but it's not really a balanced hand in the sense you've got a singleton spade.
Tony, could I interrupt real quickly?
Yes, Lance.
On the previous hand, if West had followed suit on the second club, and therefore you don't know yet about the split, would you still recommend covering with the ace, or would you play low?
Right. So it's a very good question, Lance. Thank you. The answer is if you're playing duplicate pairs, more often than not, it would be right to play low, because more often than not, you would get a 3-2 club break, and the right line would be to play the king queen and then cross over and take the rest of the clubs. However, if you wanted to guarantee your contract, then it's safer to overtake. Safer to overtake, because that will succeed even if the missing clubs are divided as they are here 4-1. So probably playing duplicate pairs, you should play for a 3-2 break, which will occur a lot more often than a 4-1 break. But it does risk you being defeated if they divide 4-1. But if it's East who's got the 4 clubs rather than West. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
That's a very good question. Anyway, back to this one. We open 2 no trump with a slightly off-shape hand, North bid Stayman, and we don't have a 4-card major, so we end up in 3 no trump. And the opponents lead the Queen of Hearts, and let's stop to make a plan. Let's stop to count our potential tricks. Well, it would be nice if we could make 4 spades here. It would be nice, as well as that, we've got 2 hearts, and in clubs, we should be able to make at least 4 or 5 clubs. So that's what you might be thinking. The problem on this hand is getting entries to the north hand. The north hand has very few entries. So let's suppose we start off winning that first trick with the king or the ace. And it's quite a good idea. We're hoping to take those spades at some point, but it's a very good idea to get rid of that spade blockage. So cash the ace of spades first. And now we need to think about what to play next. And in fact, that is a subject of the next poll. You've just won the second trick with the ace of spades. What are you going to play now? Which suit and which card do you think you should play now? And here comes that third next poll. Let's have a look at the results. And most of you have gone for a low club with 22% playing the ace of clubs. And sorry, let's switch back there. So let's think about this. Our goal on this hand is to force an entry to dummy. And we don't have an immediate obvious entry to the north hand, but we do have the jack and 10 of clubs. So I think the best play here is to play a low club. I think it may also work if you cash the ace of clubs, but if you do, you mustn't cash the king of clubs as well, because then you won't have an entry unless you're lucky and the queen of clubs drops. So you need to force an entry to the north hand, and you can get an entry there by leading low clubs twice. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lead a low club, play the jack or the 10, and now that the queen wins a trick, you've now got an entry guaranteed with the 10 of clubs. So whatever they play now, if they go back to hearts, you can now cross over to the 10 of clubs, cash your spades, and then play a club back. And in fact, the clubs are all set up now, so you can win a 10th trick with the 4 of clubs. After that, the opponents will get in and take the last tricks, but you should be able to make at least 3 no trump there. And the thing is, you can't really try any club finesse. There's no way of getting to dummy. So just play a low club. And I hope you can see that if you started off taking the ace and king and then a low club, then that doesn't work because East wins a third trick, and now you've got no entry to the north hand.
Tony, they could play a diamond, though. They might decide to play a diamond.
Yes, they could.
Not easy for you.
No, well, it's not ideal. The thing is, you do have the queen and the jack, so even if they win, so if they win at this point, your queen and jack together should be a stopper there. So I think there's some holdings where it might not be guaranteed to be a stopper, but you've got 4 diamonds and the queen jack, so you should probably be okay there. But anyway, that's the only way of getting an entry to spades, which is the main thing you're trying to achieve here. But thank you for that question. And let's have a look at this one. Something's happened there. Okay. And here's one where you open 1 diamond and it goes 1 heart pass. You rebid 2 diamonds. You've got a relatively weak hand. And it goes pass, pass. East doubles here, which is for takeout. You pass. West bids 2 spades, and they bid 3. Your partner bids 3 diamonds, and that ends the auction. So you're here in 3 diamonds, and the opponents lead the jack of spades, and you need to stop to make a plan here. And if I'm looking at this hand, I might think about how many potential losers I have here. And what I'm going to ask in the next poll is, if you win this first trick and then draw the opponent's trumps, I'll tell you it will take 3 rounds to draw the opponent's trumps, how many potential losers will you be left with? That's losers in the south hand, but taking into account all the strength in dummy. So if you start by drawing 3 rounds of trumps, how many potential losers will you have? And then the second part is, what are we going to play at trick 1? Are we going to play the king of spades or the ace of spades, or play low from both hands? So here comes that poll, and it's got those 2 parts to it. Okay, let's have a look at what you've put. So most popular response is the 5, and most of you have played one with the ace in your hand. So let's switch back and see what we make of that. So if I try to count my losers, assuming we draw the opponent's trumps in 3 rounds, that will mean I don't have any more diamonds left in dummy if it takes 3 rounds to draw the opponent's trumps. And that will mean that my losers that I have in the south hand are no spades, because I've got the ace king, 1 heart, 1 diamond, and 3 clubs. Yes, you have 5 potential losers here if you start off by drawing the opponent's all the opponent's trumps. So I agree with those of you who said 5. If you disagree, you can let me know. The other way to count this hand, as is often the case, if you find counting your losers not very helpful, is you can look at how many tricks you're expecting to make. So I can see I'm going to make 2 spades. I'm going to make all the diamonds except for 1. So that's 5 diamonds. And I've got 1 club in terms of top tricks. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 top tricks I can make. But I can make more tricks by roughing clubs in dummy. Can you see that if I can rough 3 clubs in dummy, I can increase the number of 8 up to 11 tricks? And that's what I'm going to try and do to get a good score on this one. However, I am a bit short of entries to the south hand. I have entries in diamonds, but I don't want to play diamonds because I want to do my roughing without touching the diamond suit. So it's important on this one. Those of you who chose to win the first trick with a king are correct, because you'll make 1 more trick if you can keep the ace of spades as an entry. So what we're going to do is play it like this. We'll win the king of spades. We're not touching diamonds. We're going to play the ace of clubs. And remember, our plan here is to rough 3 clubs. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. We'll rough 2 low and 1 high if we've got, as long as it all works out. So rough the first one with the 2 of diamonds. Now, because we've kept the ace of spades, we can come back here and rough a second one with the 5 of diamonds. And we want to get back to rough that last one, and we can do that with a spade. We're going to rough a spade and then rough our last club. And once we've done that, we've made all those extra tricks. We're just going to now lose 1 heart and the ace of diamonds. At some point they'll take it, and we'll make 11 tricks on that one. So that one was quite challenging, but it's important. You'll make 1 fewer trick if you win the first trick with the ace. And I'll just click here on the GIB button. Hopefully it will come up. It's a bit slow this evening. It's showing that you can make 2 over tricks if you win with a king, but you only 1 over trick if you win, if you play low from dummy and win the ace. Also on this hand, if I go right back to the beginning, you can see that the best lead for West, which holds declarer to 9 tricks, is the ace of diamonds. Ace of diamonds followed by another diamond cuts down on your ability to rough, and you should hold declarer to 9 tricks with that defense. finally, let's have a look at this one where you open 2 no trump and your partner goes to 3 no trump, and they lead the 6 of spades. And let's stop to make a plan here. Well, that seems like quite a nice lead for you, because it's sort of you'll be able to make whoever's got the king here, you're going to make at least 2 tricks here without losing the lead, perhaps. So we've got 2 spades there, 2 hearts, 3 diamonds, and obviously we want to try to establish the club suit here. Now, let's suppose you play low from dummy and East plays low and you win that first trick with the 10. So we might now turn our attention to clubs, trying to force out the ace. But if they duck once and take the ace, say, on the second round, now we may not have an entry to dummy. Let's bring up the 4 hands and just see what we've got. They can play a diamond here, but although the king, queen, jack of clubs are good, we may not be able to get them. If we lead a low spade, for example, West will automatically play the king here, and now we can't get to dummy with the queen. So whatever happens now, we can take the rest of our tricks, but we're left sadly looking at those clubs that we can never get to. So we'll just play and only make 8 tricks there. Could we have done anything better on that? Well, you can, if you remember that your goal on this hand is to force entries to dummy. And the way to do that when they play a spade is don't win it with a 10, but win it with the ace. You're always going to lose a spade here anyway. And by taking the ace there, you've now have a guaranteed entry to the north hand with the queen jack there. So you now go back to clubs like before. Whenever they take their ace, whatever they play now, you'll be able to get to dummy with your queen jack. So just lead another spade. They take their king, that's fine. We'll win the next diamond and we can play another spade over there. And now we can cash our 3 clubs. So played that way, we've made those 8 tricks, and we're going to make all the rest because we've got we'll make it 11 tricks on that one. So 8 tricks. Remember, it only made 8 tricks if you win the first trick with the 10, but it can make 11 tricks if you take the ace. It seems like a waste, but if you realize your priority is to make sure you have an entry to the north hand, you can see that playing the ace will guarantee you an entry. Any other questions or anything you'd like to say? We'll end the talk there. We've got the lesson, we've got the game starting in about 10 minutes, and I hope you found that all interesting. If you need a partner, just join the game and call the director, and I'll come and over to your table and find a partner for you. So thank you all very much, and see you online in a few minutes. Okay, bye everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night.